Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Comic Shop Talk on the Late Night Collectors community. I'm your host, Nico, and joined with me today, as always, my co-host, Chris. How you doing, man?
Hey, not too bad. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Looking forward to talking some comics here with you today. Stay tuned later, guys. We also got some news coming out of New York Comic Con this week. A couple of headlines we can kind of discuss as well. So a good show as always. And most importantly, episode 98, guys, two away from episode 100. Almost, well, really only one more the next episode before we hit that 100, the big 100 there. That's a really big deal. Couple of years in almost of doing this comic shop talk thing. So yeah, it's been a lot of fun and
Hope it's a
look
good
forward
week.
to that. Yeah, on the road to 100. Yeah, I really suck. We come on here we're like, oh, this is like the worst week of comics. It's very possible. You got to roll that dice every time, right? So, but yeah, we'll get to an interesting week here today to talk about. Not a huge week. I think I got a few more here than Chris. So unfortunately, you guys are gonna have to hear me drone on for a little longer this episode. But I'm sure you're used to that. New comics for the week of October 11th. They're going to be discussed here today. And as always, make sure you're subscribed to the channel, guys. You can check out our playlists, all of our other videos that we've done here. All 98 of them are in this this playlist that we got for Comic Shop Talk. Of course, you can also catch us on a Kraken Packs with the chat. Chris is on there sometimes as well. Christine, Rob over from Late Night Chat Network, a bunch of people, Peter, a bunch of people that have been on Late Night Chat Network and Late Night Collectors community. You can go check that out. Lots of videos there and other comic related videos as well. Trade Talk, another show that we've done about collected editions that we've talked about. Me and Chris reviewed The Walking Dead. I think that was the last video that we put out on there. You guys want to check that out? He yells at me on the episode. Really interesting stuff. Good stuff there. And as always, spoiler warning, be forewarned, we are going to be showing off the art here on some of the books we're going to be discussing here today. We're going to be talking about what happens in them. So you can always read your books and come back if you're worried about getting spoiled. But, if not, just be forewarned and carry on. All right, Chris.
All right, let's talk comics. Cheers.
Talk some comics. Cheers.
Uh,
All right. So first up on the docket here today, we got Wolverine number 38. Oh, nice. You got it, eh? Yeah. I'm
Wolverine
still
and
not.
Captain America.
Yeah.
Getting those two together, always down for them.
Yeah, still not buying this myself, but I'm reading it online right now. So I just, I'm OCD. I can't just jump in the 30th something issue like you and start collecting the run. Or else I'm gonna need all the issues. So I'm just like, yeah, I'm out. I'll pick up a collection at some point. But I buy the hardcovers and stuff, as you know. I know you don't. So like that's kind of my exchange, my way of kind of supporting it in that sense. I'm like, I can't.
Not want this cover though. Freaking come
I
on.
can't jump in at this point. No, I can't. I'm gonna need all 38 issues. But what'd you think of this?
No, it's good stuff. Captain America, Wolverine. What more can you say? All thing I can say is this should have been a two-parter. I think I think the art here is decent. Good stuff in there, and I got Captain America and Wolverine getting together to fight Orcus. Running around. I forget what they do in here, but whatever they do, it's good. It's gold. They're just those two guys talking all the time. Oh, there's some wasn't there like some auction of all the like some mutant wares that were stolen from Krakoa? That's some pretty crazy stuff in there too.
Yeah, well, which is actually a callback to earlier in the run of Wolverine by Benjamin Percy. This is something I think he established like when I was still picking up the book, like a year or two ago. Like I think like the early issues of this series, maybe the first or second arc. That was something that like a storyline that he had explored at that point, that there was this auction house of like mutant and superhero kind of stuff, right? So that was exciting that he kind of brought that back for me, because I haven't been reading the book regularly until recently. And I gotta say, man, this has been great lately. It's again, I tapped out for like a year, I feel like, on this book or more, but this has been fantastic.
Yeah, I think one of the issues there, that's where Wolverine almost got sold himself. I think the Beast bought Wolverine's body or something like that. I don't know. I guess then they resurrected him, and that's how he got his Wolverine clones or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But just like the dialogue between Captain America and Wolverine's always great. Where kind of Captain America makes Wolverine better, and Wolverine makes Captain America worse. So you can't go wrong with that. Like I said, I just wish this was the two-parter. They could have stretched this one out a bit more.
Yeah, I just feel like he's been on this whole like team up tour now all of a sudden. Last
That's what
issue
it
we
looks
got
like
the
coming
Hulk.
up, even in this future solicitations. I think the next one's with Black Panther. The one after that, there might be Spider-Man. So it looks like they're kind of just getting a Marvel team up in here with not calling a Marvel team up, which I'm
And I mean,
down for.
yeah, same here. I mean, like last issue you got Hulk. This one you got Cap, you got Black Panther next. And I mean, this is jumping the gun a little bit, but it looks like he's going to be continuing to do like bigger kind of event type story arcs in the book as well. I think following these team up issues, they just announced an NYCC this week that there's going to be a Sabretooth a
Oh yeah, the
story that's going to
Sabretooth
be.
War or something.
Yeah, so I'm kind of
What?
in for that as well. I mean, I might have to consider going and looking for the back issues of this now because this has been it's been really fucking good. I mean, you know, the Ghost Rider one was all right, but I mean, like honestly, between this and the upcoming
Yeah,
stuff and that and you know, he's writing the Predator one right now, which I really enjoyed the first issue. He's doing good with Wolverine, Benjamin Percy. I'm really enjoying this.
yep, I'm down for whatever he's doing here. I know I had a hard time with him, like maybe the first issue I picked up, but that's long
Mhm.
ago, and he's redeemed himself for sure.
Yeah, you had Wolverine. The funniest part of this was when they did that kind of that like classic move that you see in like movies where they take the two goons like outfits and pretend like they're part
Oh,
of the outfit,
yeah.
essentially like the group. And they're walking around with like these Texan kind of like get-ups, and like fucking Captain America being as fuck is still holding his shield. I'm like, what? Like, and no one notices. I was like,
Right,
what?
I thought he was part of the auction. They sent him in there.
Well, that's why you're right, but still, like, look at the size of this fucking guy. Like, you can't figure out this is Captain America. He's holding the fucking. It's just so stupid because, like, obviously, you can't just tuck it under his jacket. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, there's nothing here. I
Like,
just
like
like
Wonder
that.
Woman 4, you just put it behind your back and it somehow disappears.
It's just you've seen this scenario like go on in movies so many times. Like, what are you guys doing out here? You're late. And he's like, oh yeah, of course, yeah. Why don't you show us where the room is again so I can take care of this? And then like, oh, yeah, right this way. The guy brings him in. They're like, ah, fucking Wolverine just like comes out of nowhere. He starts beating up everybody.
Lights and
Fucking
dice.
hilarious. Yeah. Great stuff. I really enjoyed that when they started. And then there's this page coming up here where they start fighting. Where again, he's done this a few times. Like he did this during the Beast arc, the last one too, where he does like he kind of pans out and you see like a bunch of different shit like happening on different floors, like in
Yeah.
a building. I love that kind of shit when they do stuff like this. Oh, well, that's the other thing too. Juan Jose Rip, the artist on this, he's fucking killing it. This guy is. I think his work I've seen prior to this book is sometimes a little bit more detailed, but if that's what he's got to do in order to put out the work on time, like he has been, then I'm down with it. Like his stuff's really good. He reminded me of like a Jeff Darrow-esque type artist in some of his past work, like in terms of like the level of detail and shit that he does. But when you see like a page like that where he shows like the
Yeah.
different floors and all the shit going
Yeah.
on, yeah, I loved it. Yeah, good issue, fun times. What'd you
Yep.
give this?
I'll give it a 4. I liked it a lot.
Same. Yeah, 4. Solid 4 for sure. All right, next up we got Cap Wolf and the Howling Commandos, which I initially I said I was gonna pick it up, and then I didn't order it, and then I was out and about at the shops this week one day, and I seen it sitting there, and I was like, okay, I gotta pick it up. I seen it; it was tempting. I kind of flipped through it. It's only a 4-issue mini. I don't know if I'll pick up the rest of it, but I did really I did. I'm glad I picked up this first issue. I had a lot of fun with this one too. What'd you think of this?
It's okay. It's a good, fun story there. You know, gets Cap back in time with Nick Fury and the Howling Commandos. It's always fun seeing them. You're getting slicing dice and Nazis. And once again, these books are getting a little more on the violent side. They're actually killing people when they're out there fighting. So that's adds a bit of realism to it, let's say. And then, of course, the wolves show up and the Germans are, I don't know, they're trying to get their occult program going as they always seem to do in these comic books. And lo and behold, we got some wolves coming out. And I was just like, once again, I don't know if you want to talk more about what goes on in the book, but it's all the standard stuff. But of course, Captain America gets scratched or bitten by him, and there at the end, he turns into a wolf, but he's saying, "Hey guys, kill me before I change all the way." And it looks like they're more than willing to do it because they didn't seem to get along with Captain America too well. They seem to be pretty loyal to Nick Fury still.
Well, that was what I was gonna point out as my favorite part about this book was that I just thought maybe it was gonna be something like this in name only. But no, I mean, in the first issue, they established the fact that he does turn into Cap Wolf. Cap Wolf, of course, something that's happened in the Captain America books in the 90s, which a lot of people frowned upon, but I think it's just funny. But yeah, that happens. And not only that, he is actually leading the Howling Commandos in this because Nick Fury gets taken out. He gets injured, and then he can't kind of help them on their next mission. And you're right. The best scene in this book, like you said, they weren't really too fond of him. Because this is at the point where kind of, Captain America is just becoming like somebody as a spokesperson, if anything, for the war, and he's selling bonds and shit like that, right? So like he's helping sell bonds, like they're slapping his face on posters and shit like that during the war. So then, Dum Duggan there is just like, fuck. He's like, are you ready to jump out of a fucking plane for this guy? He's like, he's superhuman. Like, he's like, we can't do the shit that he can do. This guy will get killed before we fucking this guy gets even scratched. You know what I mean? Like, so he made a good fucking point. I was like, yeah, that's true. I don't know if I'd be like, you know what I mean? Like doing all that shit for him either. Like Cap's like, yeah, don't worry, boys. He like runs on the field. He like ripped open a fucking tank, and Dum Duggan's like, what the fuck? He's like, what the, right? This guy's just ripping open tanks, right? So I thought that was like a really good way to relate to what was going on during the war, and it did make it more realistic, to your point. So yeah, I thought. And then it gets wacky at the end. The guy turns into a werewolf. So I was happy with this. I think I'm in. I might pick up the rest of the issues. I don't know for sure or not, because like I said, I didn't order them, so I might have to chase them down. But I'm glad I picked up this first issue. This is pretty fun. And
I'll definitely read all the way through, but it's good stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. So what'd you give this?
I go to 3.75.
I gotta give this a 4 as well. Yeah, fun book. All right. Next up, I got Wesley Dodds, Sandman #1. This is written by Robert Venditti, who I'm a fan of for the most part. I've liked mostly what he's done that I've read. And Riley Rossmo, who I'm a huge fan of, who kind of is becoming like one of DC's go-to artists these days, which is weird because I felt like his style prior to kind of doing so many superhero books for DC, like I didn't know if he was going to fit in terms of his style, but this is one of the best looking books I think he's ever done. This guy just keeps getting better and better. I really like his stuff. He's definitely tightening his pencil work up, I think, in more recent years when he's kind of done more big 2 DC stuff, because before he used to do a lot of image titles, like more creator owned stuff, and it was very loose at times, his work. But this looked amazing, I thought. And the Sandman's a really cool, like, golden age kind of type of era hero, like 1940s. They talk about in this where it kind of it ties into Sandman Mystery Theater, if anybody's ever read that book a little bit, from Vertigo days of DC Comics. And it just kind of explains that this is just the guy that goes out there with his own concoction of stuff in a gun and shoots criminals and basically puts them to sleep, which is kind of weird and creepy too in a way. But like he's having visions and dreams in this that they talk about, how he's actually envisioning maybe the future of what the JSA eventually becomes and is, which is a grouping of these heroes, including Wesley Dodds Sandman. And this is very different version of Sandman than like the Neil Gaiman Sandman, which is he just kind of took that idea in name only and created his own kind of character, and that's kind of what became part of the Vertigo adult line of comics. I know a lot of people are more familiar with that with the TV show these days, but yeah, in this he's kind of a guy who's trying to work with the army, of course, because of the war around this time, and he meets with one of the guys in this that works for the army that kind of works on weapons manufacturing and experimentation and stuff like that, and he's like, oh yeah, I read your report. I don't understand why you want to just knock people out with gas. He's like, no, he's like, this is serious business. All you people that think, you know what I mean, that aren't brave enough to go out and fight with the rest of us. And you know what I mean? So he's basically calling him a pansy, in the sense, like, he's like, yeah, I don't understand. Like, this isn't a weapon that will kill people. So therefore it doesn't make sense for the army. And he's like, no, this is a good way of knocking out your opponents. That's not going to kill them. And it's actually highly effective. And he's trying to like, kind of, explain this to him, and he's not hearing it. So that whole part of the story was interesting. And he's kind of he's got very like a Batman-esque type life too. Like he's got, the hot looking women that are after him. And he's kind of out on the town in this issue a little bit. Like he's kind of trying to like, at a shindig trying to like sell his kind of ideas to a lot of these bigwigs and stuff like that. So yeah, it kind of reminds me of the Bruce Wayne persona from Batman, essentially. And then by the end of this, he's kind of he's involved in this mystery of that for that he's the target now for. His house ends up getting lit on fire, and he ends up jumping on the back of like the fire truck on the way to his house and seeing it kind of up in flames at the end. So I thought this was a really good debut issue. I think this is supposed to be a 6-issue miniseries. I didn't pick up the issue just because it's just not like a character I normally pick up in issues. So I kind of was like, okay, I'll just wait for the trade for this one since it is a 6-issue mini. But I'll definitely pick up the trade of this, at least if it continues on this this good of a quality as this first issue was. A really good debut, I thought. So I gave it a 4.25. Interesting stuff. And if you're new to the character, very accessible. Like, I don't know too much about this character. I know it sounds like me. I'm familiar with him, but it's not like I've read too many things with him featured in it because he's like an older character, right? So Batman City of Madness #1. This is one of those oversized kind of Black Label books, the bigger scale ones that's like magazine size. And this is issue 1 of 3. Yeah, so I read a lot of Batman books, and there's a lot of good ones out there. Unfortunately, sometimes, and even like as I'm currently kind of going through a lot of my books with my pre-orders getting bigger and bigger in the upcoming months, I feel like, because a lot of new things are going to be coming out. This one just didn't make the cut, so I won't be pre-ordering the next 2 books. I'll start off by saying that because there's a lot better Bat titles out there, I think, that you can check out. Not based on the art on this, though. This is written and drawn by Christian Ward. This might be the first thing I feel like he's written. And I think it kind of shows. Maybe he's written other things that I'm just not aware of it. But this was kind of like, you could tell that this was kind of like his stab at Batman, where he's like, if this is the only opportunity I get to write and draw Batman, I'm going to fucking put like everything into this. And unfortunately, that's kind of what it felt like. This is a 3-issue series, but they're oversized issue. This is probably like 50 pages or something like that. But even so, there's like 10 different things going on in this issue, and I don't feel like the focus was there. The writing was okay. It wasn't bad. I don't think it was overwritten, but there's just too many things fucking going on for me to even center in on one thing that I liked about this. Like, there's a Two-Face storyline going on here. Somehow it's connected to the Court of Owls, and then there's like a whole Cthulhu thing going on. Like, he's trying to do like a Batman horror title, and he's trying to establish a lot in this storyline, and I guess maybe try to bring it all back, together by the end of it. But I just don't really have too much faith in so many ideas that he started out in this one issue, whether or not it's going to actually stick the landing. So I'm just like, I think I'm out on this. There was some interesting elements in it, though. I thought the whole Batman, there's a whole vision of Batman turning into a Cthulhu monster in here, which is pretty cool. I really enjoyed the visuals. You can tell that he's going for like a more trippier kind of Batman vibe, like Arkham Asylum, like Dave McKean type stuff. So I really appreciate that. I think that's really cool and something we haven't seen in Batman in a while. But I just thought the storyline wasn't for me. I don't know. There's just I like the Court of Owls. Again, there's like 5 other story plots happening, though. It's not just like the Court of Owls and he's investigating the Court of Owls. There's that Two-Face thing. I don't know how these things are all going to tie together so far, but yeah, I'm out. I just so many Batman books, and visually, though, I gotta say it was really nice. But I didn't care for the story, so I'm gonna give this a 3.25 out of 5. I'm gonna give it a hit because of the story. If it was based on visuals alone, though, it's very strong. It would be a lot less, I think, if it wasn't for that. So yeah, very cool. I thought, like, yeah, look at these layouts, really, really interesting stuff. Good. Looks great. No, it's a great looking book. And in this format, the oversized magazine format, it looks awesome too. There's just so many Batman books, and I got to make the cut somewhere. So this is something I can't reading all DC titles being Batman, but unfortunately that's majority of the good stuff they put out these days. Right. So, I mean, like, that's another issue, but yeah, see, look, Cthulhu monster Batman, very fucking cool stuff in this. It's just, the story is just not very cohesive altogether. And maybe it's because, like I said, this is like, oh, I'm writing Batman, so this is like every fucking idea I've ever had for a Batman book, and I'm gonna shove it all in this first issue, right? And unfortunately, I just think, like, I'm just not down for it. So yeah. So next up, Chris, Venom #26.
Let's see here. We got Venom 26. I've been following this storyline, this new arc, or this arc that's been going through. It's really caught my attention. We have Natasha or the Black Widow. She's befriend or a symbiote has befriended her. They're chasing kind of some, I guess, group. I think they're called No One, or it's kind of like some shadowy group that was involved with Alchemax or something, and they're out there to kind of get revenge on injustices that have been done to them, I guess, through this Alchemax corporation. But they're ready to kind of, go all out to do this. And well, there you got a big splash page with a venomized Black Widow. So hey, that was nice. And I think there's the Toxin character. He's getting tracked down by Alchemax, and looks like they got the Toxin character on the rope. So all these Venom people or all the symbiotes are getting together to try and rescue them, I believe. But as for where the story's been, and this being more of a Dylan story, it's finally one of the arcs, the Dylan arcs that I'm enjoying. Most times this Venom's only shined when it's been the Eddie Brock stuff. So it's good to see some good storylines coming out from both ends. But even so, I give it a 3.75 because it's better than it's been, and I'm down for this arc and down for this Black Widow with the symbiote.
Nice. Okay. Next up, we got Avengers number 6. This is kind of ending out the current arc of Jed McKay's debut on the title. What'd you think of this?
Yeah, I think this might. I don't know if I've got this solicited down the road, but that might be to the end of the road for the Avengers for me. This was just another paint by numbers. This whole arc was paint by numbers. We bring in these, crazy new characters. They got each character on the ropes. Looks like they have them all beat. And then in this issue, in every 3 pages that are dedicated to each character, they all somehow come back and use some either twist of logic, or they have a new skill they haven't torn about, or we got Tony Stark saying, "Oh, I was just pretending," and you got Thor saying, "Hey, I don't need." He's fighting that person that needs the worshippers, so he knocks everybody out, so nobody's worshiping them. And then I guess Scarlet Witch takes that undead person to Antarctica. It's all interesting ways they've done it, but I don't know. You do the same story, freaking just split up in 5 or 6 people. I guess the big thing is the Avengers may have a new base, that Impossible City, which is kind of neat, but we'll see. And I know there seems to be some other Avengers stuff coming up in the new year that looks pretty interesting, so I might switch out to that.
There's a Chip Zdarsky Avengers. I think that's going to be coming out.
Yeah,
in the new year.
They got to change that name. Twilight, though. Come on.
Twilight, yeah.
Vampires and werewolves in there too, or what?
Yeah. Well, yeah. No, I mean, you're just voicing exactly what I think about this, and as we've been saying about this book, unfortunately, throughout the second part of this arc, especially, I feel like. And again, but it was just never so apparent in this issue, once again, where, like you said, they dedicated maybe 2 pages each to each hero systematically taking out the bad guy after it looks like they got them on the ropes. And no, not pulling any surprise punches, not I will say, maybe some of the ways it came to the conclusion of how to beat these guys was a little bit interesting. I do think this issue was a tad bit better than maybe the previous couple of issues, because there was a cool thing where they ended off explaining, again, yet another new base of operations for the Avengers at the end of this. I'm interested to see maybe where he goes from here, but in terms of pre-ordering the book and picking up the physical copies, like you said, I think I'm also out after another issue. I think I pre-ordered up to either 7 or 8. I might continue to read this digitally online. We'll see, but because maybe this was just like him cutting his teeth and being like, okay, so this is how I write a team book, so and getting the feel of this. But he's gonna have to do big things in that second arc to kind of get me to come back at this point, I think. So because this is just fucking super basic as fuck, this issue.
Yeah, if they're just going from tribulation event to tribulation event for each arc, if he goes back and kind of takes it back, just get a nice classic Avengers story. If it has to tie in with whatever's going on and other baloney or whatever storylines, fine, and then they can do another tribulation event arc, and we'll see how it goes. But
I think it would be interesting. Yeah, no, I agree with you. I think it'd be interesting if next issue they did one of those roll calls and fucking started introducing a couple new characters into the Avengers that they can normally do every so often, right? Maybe kind of cycle a couple of people out, set up a new story. I don't know if that's what their plans were for the next one. I don't know. I don't remember the solicits, but I think that he kind of needs to shake it up. I feel like after this very basic of an arc that he just had, right? And I have already stopped pre-ordering it. So, like I said, depending on how the next couple go that I've actually ordered, and we'll see if I plan on coming back to the title. But like, I want to read Avengers. I want to read a good Avengers book. This is I'm disappointed. I expected a lot more. I feel like after some of our Jed McKay praise on the channel here this past year, right? So, anyways, what'd you give this?
3.5.
Yeah, I'll stick to a 3.5 for this too. Yeah. Next up we got Batman and Robin #2. I actually got this issue pre-ordered as well. I got this first Shush appearance. Watch out.
Ooh, watch out. She's a killer, that one.
Yeah. There we go. So what'd you think of this?
Yeah, I'm not too upset that I didn't buy into the series. I'm not sure where this is supposed to fit in, like in that Batman world, or who this is written for. It's a very light tone. It's a lot of Batman and Robin stuff there. I guess they're sending Damian Wayne back to school again, but I've seen that before, done in other stories. And, of course, he doesn't follow the rules, and he goes out and they're trying to figure out whatever caper or whatever case that they're on. And, the only good thing was at the end. It's not even a spoiler. It's just at the end of the comic, it says come back, same bad time, same bad channel. So it kind of had that sort of campiness, and that's about the best thing that happened in this comic, and that's not a lot. That's not a good thing to say.
Yeah, that was kind of fun. I did read that. Again, I think this is an example of another Batman book where the fucking art is the biggest highlight for me. The art is fucking great in this book. I'm so glad I got a little commission of the Doctor Strange by this guy Simone DeMeo, because I'm sure his commission prices are about to go up after this title. I don't think there's anything bad about this book. It was fine, but it wasn't anything new or exciting either. And like you said, this is the last issue. I've also pre-ordered this, and yet again, this is another one that was on the chopping block, and that's out for me. Like, I might revisit it digitally online, but for me, I'm not ordering any more of this book either. Again, so there's 2 titles I cut from my list this week, and that they're both Batman books, which again, I read enough Batman, so it's not going to be a huge loss. And this is just a different type of flavor of Batman. Like you said, you got the whole relationship with the father and son type stuff going on in this, which is fine. But the art, again, both books I've talked about, I'm cutting from the Batman, though. The art is not the issue on these titles. I love this fucking art on this book. So I might revisit it time to time online to read it, because I really like the visuals, and I hope this guy kind of keeps up with the book. Or if not, they put out some other good artists on the title, because if we're not reading it, or picking it up, doesn't mean that other people aren't, because this is Batman, and I'm sure there's going to be a lot of people that are going to appreciate these artists' work. And so if you're on a Batman title, that's fucking good no matter what, right? So I love the art. Very interesting looking art style. So what'd you give this?
I'll give it a 3.5.
Yeah, same for me. All right, so yeah, just in time for Halloween, I got a new issue of Creepshow Volume 2, issue number 2. Got the Michael Walsh cover here, a big fan of. You may remember me talking about him when I talked about his horror anthology, Silver Coin, which is kind of on hiatus at the moment. But he came and did one of the 2 stories featured in this new issue of Creepshow. Yeah, that's the regular cover there. And he did the first story in this, which I really, really enjoyed. So because it worked well for him. He's no stranger to doing kind of like these short stories in horror after doing Silver Coin. So I kind of think he'd fit right into this. And he wrote and drew it, of course. And this one's called The Man with No Eyes. And basically it's a story about a kid who sat at, almost like a latchkey kid who sat at home with his father, I guess lives with his father, either from a family of divorce or his mother got killed or something. I can't recall, but I think his mother had died. And basically the father, is working to meet for ends meet, kind of trying to do his job, and he does it at night a lot. He has a night shift type job. And he's trying to kind of keep things in order at the house and between everything else and his stress in his life. And, he's, as a result, he sometimes comes off like a dick to his son. And when he's at home alone, as a result of him working nights at the moment, he's trying to switch to a more kind of day type job at the moment. He ends up watching a lot of TV. So then he's sitting in front of the TV one night, and then of course somebody from the TV starts talking to him, or so he thinks. And then it's like this magician, and the magician apparently, comes out of the TV and ends up talking to him, getting inside of his head. And then his dad came home one night after getting in trouble for being late for work, and it sounds like he lost his job, and he smashes the shit out of the TV because he says that his kid, you should be in bed right now. What the fuck are you doing up? And he starts freaking out and smashing the shit out of the television. And from there, I guess, the magician appears to him. He like kind of creeps out of a room after his dad like leaves, and out of like the closet or something. And he's like, "Oh, don't worry, you don't need me in the TV anymore. I'm here with you now." And then he kind of gets inside the kid's head and basically gets the kid to pick up the glass that was from the TV and proceed to basically kill his father. So it's pretty fucking brutal. And the magician takes off his hat, and this like weird fucking like, I don't know, tentacle creature like, or bug or millipede or something fucking creeps out of the hat and like goes all over the kid's face, and I guess like possesses him or something. So that's like at the end his eyes are fucking gouged out. He like got his eyes gouged out, and then he ends up doing the same thing to his father and killing him in some brutal ending. So yeah, that was pretty awesome. Not for the faint of heart, like horror and stuff like this, I would think. And then the second story was not so good. This is from another what's this artist's name? Dan Waters wrote it, and Abigail Larson drew it and colored it. This one was fine. This is just about some girl who ghosts are talking to her constantly, so she ends up cutting off her ears in some sort of attempt to not have to hear these spirits that she constantly hears in her head. And then by the end of it, this resulted in her pissing off, I guess, some sort of demon or something or other. And at the end, the thing comes out of nowhere and basically eats her. So I don't know. That one was fine, but I thought the first one was much stronger. And like any anthology, you're going to have a mixed bag of quality sometimes. So I give this a 3.75 out of 5. Still continues to be a fun series. And especially when you have people like you really enjoy come on and do like a story in this type of creep show fashion, right? And next up, I got Kea number 12. And that's this issue right here. And this is the issue that's coming out in between arcs that he does that he previously said was not going to be collected in the trade paperbacks, which I also double dip on and buy anyways. But in the back of this issue, in the letter column, he said, yeah, these issues are so good, I'm going to start including them in the collections. And I'm like, damn you, Wes Craig, don't go back on your fucking decision. These are exclusive issues to the people that support the book like this. And now apparently he's going to be including them in the trades, which again, I buy them anyways, so whatever. But yeah, this was a really good standalone issue. This robot character who was like the bad guy at the end of the last arc that was trying to basically kidnap Kea's brother because he has some sort of like power inside of him that they're aware of. And I forgot his name, General Vox or something like that. This whole issue is kind of like a one and done story. Yeah, Lord Vox, focused on him. And this is kind of like almost like Darth Vader going back to the Emperor after fucking up and Luke destroying the Death Star. Because this is kind of essentially that. He ends up having to go hat in hand to his boss and be like, yeah, sorry, I wasn't able to get the boy, but don't worry. We're going to take extra measures and we're going to figure out a way to get him, track him down and whatever. Don't worry about it. And then his boss is basically like, oh, yeah, oh, really? Well, now, I know you won't let me down because guess what? As you've been sitting here talking to me, I've inseminated some sort of virus inside of you. And he's like, what? What are you talking about? And he looks at his arm and it's all like spotted and diseased. And he's like, or at least starting to get like that. And he's just like, yeah, if you don't find him within like a certain amount of time, you're just gonna die because I put this fucking flesh-eating virus inside of your body. And like, yeah, they're like robot type people, so I think like it's an actual like virus of some sort, right? But so yeah, very interesting twist. I did not see that coming. The art was really good as always, and a really good kind of standalone issue outside of the main series to give you a little bit of an insight to this bad guy and to figure out that he's not he's also answering to somebody else, and he's in trouble now himself. So we'll see what ends up happening with his character. But yeah, really good issue. I thought it was good to kind of do it in between arcs like this, and he's kind of been doing that. The first one they did between the first arc and the second arc was based on the origin of Kea's metal arm. So these kind of serve a really good purpose to tie it back into the main series. And I guess I'm glad for the trade waiters that they're going to get these now. I give this a 4 out of 5. Really good stuff. And and there was a backup story by the artist that does Phantom Road with Jeff Lemire, Gabriel Walta. He did the backup story in this issue. Who he again with these issues, he does like backup stories, just a really good artist. So good stuff. All right, Chris. Next up, we got Scorch 22.
Scorch 22, kind of stepping back into the Spawn world. I think Spawn 350 is coming up. And I guess in the Spawn universe, the dark zones are open. I think the battle for the throne of hell is in place. I got the angels, the devils, some demons. Everybody's all fighting for jockeying for position right now. I think in this issue at the Spawn Scorch team is sort of marching on hell, so they got to go through all these, I don't know, different layers or something. She might have died in a couple issues ago, and she's been brought back sort of superpower. She's fighting some god here. And, the god thinks, hey, you're going to take care of business. And Spawn says, no way. She freaking gouges out his eyes. Like, she doesn't kind of beat them she doesn't beat him in any sort of tricky way. She just beats him through raw power. So that's always fun to see. So then the rest of the team, they're all happy that Spawn is back, but she's sort of at odds, I guess, with Spawn or Al. It's Al Simmons, right? That's Spawn?
Yeah.
Yeah, she's at odds with him and his plan. So she's kind of got a couple guys with her that are kind of following her now. So she's going to go off and do her own thing. And that's where this story sort of ends. So these Scorched issues, or even all the Spawn issues themselves, are nice, short little stories. Not enough meat to them. This is something where you need a trade where you get them all together and put them all in once. But, they're still putting out covers like that. I'll still be buying them. I'll give it a 3.75. It's still a good stuff. Great art inside. The story, not freaking any, no Oscar winner in there, but it's enough to get the job done.
Yeah, why don't we actually? I didn't take a look. Let me see the cover on that. Let me just put that up on the screen because I didn't have the art for this one. Oh yeah, is that Spawn right there, or this is her return? Yeah, very cool. Yeah, that's nice. Okay, cool. Next up, we got the Superior Spider-Man returns.
Nope, I got a variant cover here too.
Whoa, let's take a look at this one. Let's see this. Who drew that one?
We're going to see here. I'll have to get back to you on that.
Okay,
I just bought them on the books.
Okay, very cool. Nice.
Yeah, for the Superior Spider-Man, I missed all this stuff, when it was the big story here. And I know they've been kind of referencing this in the main story, the main Spider-Man storyline, that Otto or Doc Ock is kind of remembering that he's missing something. And this sort of just continues that, but it brings it back into a story. So it's going back in time. I was hoping that, somehow this would just be all a whole new. Well, maybe it's going to go that way. Maybe it's just the first story here that
it's
kind
both.
of sets them back in time.
It's referencing old events, but also showing you present events with him. So, moving forward, I think it is going to be present events, but in this issue, they did reference when he originally became the Superior Spider-Man and explained a little bit about that to kind of, I guess, get people caught up in that sense. But this issue did flip back and forth from past and current events. So,
yeah. Well, I did I might have to look back in this time as with Doc Ock as Spider-Man there, because it's pretty funny stuff there, just kind of seeing the way he's talking to people and all that sort of business. But yeah, I'm not a big fan of that kind of plot there where he dug this hole so deep and that's why he was never referenced and all this stuff. I know they got to kind of stretch it to make this story work. But the ending or the outcome of this is what he's trying to, or he achieved fusion or something like that, or fission, I don't know. And he has it all blocked up in that hexadrenal or hexagonal ball there, which almost reminds me of what's going on in the Superman story. I don't know how these guys always seem to have, almost parallel stories going on. They're a little different, but still parallel in some way. It seems odd how that happens, but anyways. But I know I did like the outcome of that, where they got that person that's been locked up in there for how many years now, and when that person does escape, and the Doc Ock's there, and he's like pleading for mercy, and I forget what her name was that comes out of it. She's like, "Who the hell are you?" "I'm looking for Spider-Man," and then she takes off looking for Spider-Man, and he's there freaking having a great old time. Everything's coming up Doc Ock.
I read the original run of this. I was a huge fan of the Superior Spider-Man era. I don't know. I thought this was diminishing returns, quite frankly.
Yeah.
I thought this was okay. It was cool to see some Stegman art in here, along with the other artists that worked on this book at that time, including Giuseppe Camuncoli, Mark Bagley, of course, Humberto Ramos. They literally had every single artist do some pages in this that worked on the original Spider-Man run around this time with Dan Slott. And I was a big fan of that. But again, this is another book I feel like I think I've got the first issue or two pre-ordered of the ongoing series that's supposed to come after this that Slott is doing. I just don't think these are important to the general Spider-Man series that we really enjoy, Amazing Spider-Man, or any happenings that's currently going on, no matter how much Dan Slott is trying to make us think it is. Between that Spider-Man series with the Spider-Boy stuff and now this one, which is, again, revisiting old fucking ideas that he's already fucking done in his original run of Spider-Man, which I enjoyed, which he also did in Spider-Man, which is the Cologne fucking, Spider-Verse Part 3. So I think I'm over it now. I mean, this was a cool, like, little return to form in a sense, a little bit, but not as good. And you're right though. It is a fun character. I don't know. We'll see how I feel about the first issue of the new series that's supposed to come after this. I just thought this was just more of like one of those like anniversary issues. It felt like to me, where it's just like, hey,
if this was just a one shot, then that'd be perfect. But now they're trying to poke you, and we got to clear the decks for January, anyways.
That's what I mean. So I don't think this is going to make the cut for me as much as I love Spider-Man. We get Amazing Spider-Man twice a month, and I'm perfectly happy with that title. I would like it if there was more Spider-Man type titles that I could really pick up. Like I do it for fucking Batman, where I pick up like 5 different things, right? So like I wouldn't be opposed to having another Spider-Man series that I like, but this, I don't know, that first Slott Spider-Man series was okay. It was fine. And like this, again, it just seems like it's a lot of going back to the well type shit going on here. So like, and I'm like, you already did a good story with this. So like, I don't know. We'll see if you can find the voice for, the voice for Otto is present in this, and it was still fun. So I don't know. We'll see. That first issue of the new series has got to really hook me. I'll say that for me to continue, because at this point, I don't think I'm pre-ordering anymore. So we'll see what happens. Yeah. What'd you give this?
I'll give it a 3.75 though. I did enjoy some of the stuff there.
I'll give it a 3.5.
But this is all new to me too,
Oh yeah, I know. That's what I mean. Like for you too, I think it was good because they did rehash a lot of what happened during that time, like how he got inside his head. It did feature a lot of good art in it. Like I said, I would have been a lot happier if this was just a one-shot issue where it was just like, hey, remember this time?
Yeah.
Well, guess what? You can go, and then you can go back and check it out. But to continue the story with him being superior again, or I don't know what they have planned for him. I don't know. I like Doc Ock quite a bit, right? So we'll see what happens in this issue, right? Like I Stegman's not drawing me ongoing. So like, I don't know. It just doesn't, like, Bagley is going to return for that one, which is fine. But yeah, I'm like, I don't mind Bagley, but it's not like it's getting me super excited to check it out, right? So we'll see what happens. And then last but not least, here we got Amazing Spider-Man 35 this week, though. Yeah. Cool cover.
That's it. Wow. Even so, I want to give this JRJ guy a break there. If they got the guest artist, why don't you get some guest covers while he's here? But the story itself, I guess all good things have to come to an end. I've been loving this unhinged Spider-Man. I read the previews for this. I thought some big things were going to happen, and it just turned out to be a bit of a swerve. They almost set up a big fight between Mary Jane and Peter Parker and Spider-Man. Looks like they were about to go at it, but then the Queen Goblin comes in, and then whatever. I guess Mary Jane uses her powers to almost save Peter or save Spider-Man there. So we'll see how it goes. But it was nice seeing the fear in Paul's eyes there when Spider-Man's like, I'm coming after you now. Doesn't he take? He almost redoes the Gwen Stacy death scene there. He takes him up a building. He's gonna drop him or something.
I do enjoy the fact that they write this Paul guy like a fucking lame, because he is. Like, this guy, like,
Yeah.
I'm like, come on, Mary Jane, like, why are you with this guy? He's such a, I don't understand, but okay.
Yeah, makes her work. Anyways, but I know, I guess, and I was also getting worried about this sort of flip that Spider-Man's gonna be bad and all these these bad characters are going to be good, and that didn't turn out to be the case. The stuff with the Queen Goblin, I guess she's only really after Harry Osborn or the Green Goblin, so she couldn't care less about Spider-Man. So I guess that can ring true. And I guess with Craven, he feels redeemed that he didn't kill himself. I don't know if that somehow makes him redeem himself. Oh, I didn't shoot myself. I'm a good guy. So he's back, and and I guess they're teasing again the Green Goblin coming back, but I hope they save that for down the road. Just because.
Yeah, you know what? Like, we all knew eventually, like, it was gonna return, but when I seen this kind of tease that it might, like, he might be the Green Goblin again, I was kind of a little disappointed, because I've actually really been enjoying the storyline with him.
Yeah, they don't need to tease this. They can drop this down if they're going to keep him a good guy. Keep him a good guy for now.
Yeah, I mean, if they, slowly start, like, telling stories with him still being good in the future issues, and then every now and then he lets out a laugh, or he starts like sweating crazy, you know what I mean, like things like that, like, and then he slowly starts becoming the Green Goblin again. Okay, whatever. I wouldn't mind them to stretch this out longer, because, like, I feel like we all knew eventually it was gonna come to, it's gonna go back to normal, as everything in comics does. But I've been enjoying him kind of being like working.
Well, it took me a long time for me to buy in that he's going to be a good guy and that him and Peter are going to get along and be friends. It's like, I always thought that was the craziest thing. Now I'm bought in. And, the first few issues that I'm bought in, they're already going to freaking change him now. It's like, come on, give me a break. Let me enjoy this guy for a bit.
Yeah, I gotta say the lead into this last issue of this arc, though, were much better. Like, I think when it started out, we were like, yeah, I don't know about this, and then each issue got better and better. But I felt like this conclusion wrapped up very quickly for this storyline. I felt like the best part about this issue, I think, was the tease, in a sense, because it got me like worried. I was like, oh no, I don't want that to happen, right? But like, otherwise, this issue was fine. Gleason, was killing it. Gleason's great on this book, but otherwise, I thought it was a very quick wrap up, and I was just like, yeah, it was all right.
Yeah, they wrapped up too. And then, I'm sorry, blah blah blah. It makes him freaking look like they should at least have him, because he wasn't like out of his mind. It's not like somebody took over his mind, So we should be kind of owning what he was doing there a little bit, not saying, "Oh, it wasn't me," sort of deal. That's what I feel, but. But I didn't see this ending very well anyways, unless they freaking pushed it on, but there's no way they do that either.
Right. What'd you give this out of 5?
This arc, I'd give high marks, a 4.25 for this arc here. I loved it. But the ending there, too bad, it's like Lost, great story, you just can't finish it. I'll give it a 4, because the art's great, story's still good stuff in there.
Yeah, I'll give it a 3.75. I agree with you that overall I thought the arc was good, but a little bit of a misstep, I think, on sticking the landing here, but for this storyline. But otherwise, it continues. We'll see where this leads next, right? I mean, it did leave us with that tease at the end in terms of the Green Goblin, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah, gang war next. I don't know. I'm not feeling this gang war, but who knows?
All right. Well, that's gonna do it for the books that we wanted to talk about this week, guys. But quickly, let's mention a couple of news that came out from New York Comic Con this week. There's a lot, so we're not going to cover everything. I just wanted to quickly mention a couple of things that I came across. As the previously mentioned, they did announce the Avengers Twilight, I think, which is a 6-issue miniseries by Chip Zdarsky. And we previously had mentioned on the show as well, I think it kind of leaked prior to New York Comic Con that they were going to make a big announcement about the new X-Men, like basically Fall of X type stuff or whatever. Like, that's going to basically, they've confirmed that it is coming to an end, I guess, this current era of X-Men with those 2 books that they got going on, which are like almost like the House of 10 Powers of X type shit. You know what I mean? Like they have
Yeah.
two different titles. I think Jerry Duggan's going to be writing, which are going to be concluding the storyline, and then I guess Kieran Gillen's involved doing a book as well at that time. So yeah, it's you know some interesting stuff mentioned here. I'm just pulling up this site I kind of sent you with some highlights. I felt another big kind of thing that came. You know, go ahead.
Well, I say the Ultimate Spider-Man's coming, like the Ultimate Universe is coming in this in January, so that could be interesting.
Yeah, Fall of the House of X, which is a 5-issue limited series written by Jerry Duggan, art by Lucas Werneck. And yeah, this is the X-Men Fall and Rise that's going on right now. So it's Fall of the House of X and then Rise of Rise of the Powers of X, which is one of 5 also. Okay, this is the one Kieran Gillen's writing, and art by RB Silva, who's really fucking good. That's another. So those are 2 5-issue miniseries that will be going on at the same time, which, you know, Kieran Gillen, who does Immortal X-Men, and Jerry Duggan, that does the main X-Men title, which is the ones we've kind of been sticking with this whole time through. So this seems, you know, makes perfect sense to me that they'd be the ones kind of, you know, reining all this in here at the end for us. And I'll be picking up both of these miniseries that are going to be coming out. I'm really looking forward to these. Yeah.
Well, even that Avengers Twilight sounding pretty good too, with Captain America in the future.
That as well.
Sort of, he's lost, or it's like, you know, it's almost like an old man. Sounds like an old man Rogers almost, but maybe not so apocalyptic world.
Yeah, that sounds really good too. And let's not forget Resurrection of Magneto, which is it's a 4-issue miniseries, bringing him back. Yeah, Al Ewing writing this. Al Ewing writing this one with art by Luciano Vecchio, who I don't even know who that is. But anyways, might have to check that out too. So there you go. Very interesting stuff. Gods, they've mentioned, is a current ongoing series, which will be continuing. Avengers Twilight, which is him and Daniel Acuna on art, who is really fucking good. So I forgot that he's the one drawing this. I'm really looking forward to this because of him too. So that's exciting. 6-issue miniseries. Yeah, it says in a gleaming new world of prosperity, Captain America is no more, but Steve Rogers still exists, floating through an America where freedom is an illusion, where the Avengers are strangers and his friends are long dead, but it is the dream. How do you assemble Avengers in a world that doesn't want them? Yeah, so it sounds great. Ultimate Spider-Man by Hickman. Jesus Christ, I'm adding like 6 titles to the pull list here. So clear the decks. Time to fucking drop some books here. I'm not gonna be checking this out, at least picking it up physically. But they're doing an Ultimate Black Panther, I guess, which is going to be another book coming out of the new Ultimate Universe that they set up here, written by Brian Hill, art by Stefano Caselli. So that's a good team. That's not bad, actually. Yeah. So that looks really cool. And also an Ultimate X-Men, which is written and drawn by Peach Momoko, which I don't know if that's I don't know about that. I think I don't know if you can insert her kind of thing that she does well into like a regular, like, you know what I mean? Like she's been off doing her Demon like Wars things, which is like,
that's all interesting stuff, but it's
a Japanese,
I don't know, for an ongoing main title.
Yeah, I don't know about that. We'll see. Sure. She's a really fucking popular artist. I'm sure that's going to sell like gangbusters. There's lots of people are fans of hers. I like her stuff too. I just think that to see her on an Ultimate X-Men book, that is very strange to me. Like, I don't know if that's going to be a good fit. You know, not to say that she needs to keep doing Japanese interpretations of the characters. I just think that that was a perfect fit for her because that's like her own, like that's her own culture and also her painting style and everything. Like, I just think that that was a super good fit. Like, she should be doing her own version of these characters as opposed to, which I guess the ultimate world is, but like the X-Men, I don't see Peach Momoko.
Yeah, but it seems like the Ultimate has a certain style of all these comics, you know, that they want to have, and then you're gonna have like some kind of folksy, you know, kind of water paintings there.
Yeah. I just don't see it. Yeah, I don't see it. So I don't know. We'll see. Maybe she's not gonna do the painted style for this. I don't know.
Yeah,
that is her style though. So like, I mean, like that we've come to know of her. So if she did something different here, I don't know. Again, that'd be strange. And then the other big piece of news was like Rick Remender, his imprint at Image Comics that he has an exclusive with now, where he does creator-owned books, is Giant Generator. has just signed a contract with a fucking like shitload of artists to draw books that he's going to be creating over at Image Comics. And obviously, because it's creator owned, they're going to be, you know, sharing the profits of that with him as well, as he always has done with all of his creators. And not to mention that he also has an artist signed to his label that is going to be writing and I think drawing a book, J.G. Jones, which is the first title out of his imprint that he actually hasn't written. He's got that new book that's going to be coming out. I think that he's going to be co-writing with Andy Samberg, which they already previously had talked about, like I guess at the last big con that that's come out, Holy Roller. And he mentioned he's doing two other new books as well. I think one that has to do with like skateboarding culture with Brian Posehn, the comedian who he's written with before. He wrote Deadpool. No, he did something with Brian Posehn before. Brian Posehn wrote Deadpool with Jerry Duggan originally years ago. If I don't know if you're familiar with him, Chris, the comedian, like if you've seen him in this picture, you'd probably recognize him. But yeah, that's kind of he's doing something like that. And then he's doing like another book, which with the artist Bengal. He signs 12 A-list creators to exclusives. That's the official headline here. Fucking crazy. So this is good for everyone involved. Not good for the big two, but good for him, man. Daniel Acuna, who we just talked about, that's on that Twilight book with Chip Zdarsky. Andre Lima Araujo, Paul Azaceta, Bengal, Roland Bashi, Max Fiumara, of course, is doing the Sacrificers right now with them. Mike Cawthorn, J.G. Jones, who's writing a book, Francisco Mobili, Brett Parson, Yannick Paquette, and Greg Tocchini are all signing exclusive contracts with Giant Generator ahead of a rollout of creator-owned launches for the line. This is big fucking news, man. Like this is like I don't think anybody has done as big of a signing deal, like in terms of like indie, like for independent comics, like creator-owned comics, even through an Image imprint like this. Like Kirkman has his own imprint and he works with a bunch of good artists, but he doesn't sign them to exclusive fucking deals like this guy like did. So this is a big fucking move, man. Good. Congrats to Remender. I'm really looking forward to these titles. Napalm Lullaby. That's the new ongoing series that coming out in March from Rick and Bengal, the artist who he's worked on previously. What if a child with unimaginable power was discovered and raised to believe he was God by a cult built upon hatred and populated by zealots, utterly confident in the purity and absolute moral authority of their religion? Yeah, so really interesting stuff. I'll be checking that out. Remender's just like, I always check out every book he does. Like he's an automatic buy for me, honestly, at this point. Holy Rollers is other one that he's doing. And then there's someone that he's doing about skate culture or something, like skateboarders. There's one called what's this? Grommets. That's what it's called. Two outcast best friends navigate the Sacramento suburbs of 1984 while they find a home in skateboard culture and punk rock. It's both authentic look at 80s skate culture and a snapshot of the generation that turned skating into a worldwide phenomenon. And you know, this is like I think you've seen a little bit of that in Deadly Class. Like Rick was like a punk rocker type kid and he wasn't into skating, all this kind of stuff. So I think this is going to be really interesting if you're into those kind of things, like an interesting look at that. And not only that, I don't think there's ever really been a comic about this kind of stuff. So I think that's another interesting thing, right? So
yeah. Well, they got the DC Elseworlds they've that they announced. I don't know if we've talked about that either. The big one I'm looking forward to is the DC versus Vampires. I enjoyed that one. And there's Dark Knights of Steel. I don't know who's writing it though, so I'm a little iffy on that one.
I saw that Tom Taylor isn't returning for the next one. Yeah, I know. I was a little upset by that too. I don't know the name either of the person that they announced. So
yeah.
So
I think it's going to be more like an offshoot or a side story, not like the sort of the main story. Like I hope Tom Taylor comes back for another, a straight up Dark Knights of Steel again.
However, I am interested in one of these. I mean, even though DC Black Label essentially has been Elseworlds, quite honestly, like they are bringing, I guess, the imprint and name back in that sense, right? Even though they've basically been doing Elseworlds for a while now, including Dark Knights of Steel and fucking DC versus Vampires and everything else. But I'm interested in this one out of all the Elseworld announcements they made. The Gotham by Gaslight, the return to Gotham by Gaslight and like the old Victorian era kind of Batman, which is this one's Gotham by Gaslight, the Kryptonian age. This sounds really good. Andy Diggle and Leandro Fernandez drawing it. This is a sequel of sorts to the original Gotham by Gaslight, which I was a big fan of, which was Mike Mignola, the artist that Hellboy did back in the day. So that's pretty cool. And my other one I'm really excited for is fucking this Batman the Barbarian, written and drawn by Greg Smallwood, who I'm a huge fan of. This fucking Batman is Conan. I'm fucking in. I'm really excited for that, man. Trust me, Chris. This is the one to watch out for. Greg Smallwood's guy that drew Human Target for DC. Remember that book? Yeah, he drew that one. So I'm a huge fan of his 6-issue miniseries. And to Chris's point, Dark Knights of Steel All Winter is the next one, written by Jay Kristoff and Tirso Cons on art, who I haven't heard of either of these people. So, but it's only a 6-issue miniseries, so maybe Taylor plans on coming back, and
yeah, that's what I'm hoping for.
Yeah, this might be like DC versus Vampires All Out War was to the main series. You know what I mean? Like a series outside of the main, because if they're doing 6 issues, maybe he'll come back with another 12, hopefully, Tom Taylor, because I can't see him at...
even if it's in a couple of years, take your time, buddy. Just make sure you want to do it when you do it.
Yeah. Ones I'm not as interested in that are coming out of Elseworlds, though: Green Lantern Dark, Batman Nightfire. That's gonna at least look nice. That's by Clayman and Seth Man, his brother. And then Green Lantern Dark, Tate Bromball, and Werther Daldera. I'm not as interested in those two. But then you got one that I am interested in, and like Chris said, we're probably both going to be talking about this one, picking this up. DC versus Vampires World War V, with Rosenberg coming back to write it with same artist, Otto Schmidt. So that's good stuff. That's I'm excited for that. Another 12-issue sequel. So as we predicted, both of those are coming back, the Dark Knights of Steel and DC versus Vampires, because those are big sellers, and those are books that me and Chris really enjoyed, looking forward to talking about every time they came out in our first year of doing Comic Shop Talk. So make sure to check those out, guys, when they do get released. So yeah, some good announcements coming out of New York Comic Con. There is some good stuff, and there's plenty more. Oh, one more. Jason Aaron is going to be writing Action Comics, which I'm also fucking very excited for. Yeah, I think they're still doing the anthology style, or there's like 2 or 3 stories. But
I think they're getting for Action Comics. I think they're getting different writers for like the arcs for next year. It's like, I think it's like All-Star Action Comics or something.
Right. So Jason Aaron's one of those people. I think he might be doing the main story on the next one, taking over for Philip Kennedy Johnson.
Yeah,
and the other writer. Yeah, the other writer I heard that's going to be involved is fucking Mark Waid, who writes a great Superman, as we've seen in Superman, Batman, World's Finest. So yeah, I'm on board.
He's got to stick to his good stuff there.
Hey, listen, that's a good name, though, that could be in the mix. And I'm really looking forward to seeing Jason Aaron write Superman for the first time in his career, because he's written for Marvel exclusively for the whole time I've been back into comics. So I'm just really excited to see him write some DC people. Between this and the Batman miniseries that they already announced for him, I'm on board. I'm checking.
Well, I've heard some rumblings. I've been following up Mark Miller on X or whatever, and he's been putting out hints that he's got some Superman stories in him that are, he's just waiting to come out or waiting to do. Like, I don't know if they're sort of, kind of ready in the timelines, but he might be coming back to Superman one day.
I'd be okay with that. I mean, I've seen him do good Superman type stories with his own versions of Superman, with like Huck and other types of things over in the Millerverse. But if he comes back and does a DC title and he does Superman, I'd be in for that too. He's Superman. I mean, he's the guy also that wrote back in the day one of DC's biggest Elseworld stories, which is Superman Red Sun, where he was the Russian, right? Which I'm sure hasn't aged well now. But even in that story, though, he was kind of like questionable, as in terms of the relationship between Russia and the States, right? But that's a really good one. If you've never read that, that's worth checking out. Superman Red Sun, definitely. But yeah, he's good. I like him, so I wouldn't mind to see him. But it has to be something really good for him to want to write to come back to Big Two Comics.
Well,
right?
I think he's kind of got the stories in his mind already. He's kind of, maybe waiting for the deal, or maybe the deal's already made, but he just can't talk about it. And, it's like years down the road, because he's got his own stuff going on still, but who knows?
Okay, well, that's good to hear. That's interesting. I didn't know that, Chris. That's awesome. Hopefully it happens, right? So, all right. Well, that's going to do it in terms of news from NYCC. Chris, what are you reading next week?
Let's see. I'll bring up the list here. Hold on a second. Not sure if it's a big week next week or not, but we'll see. Let's see, from Marvel, I'll probably be reading Avengers Inc. 2, probably reading Children of the Vault. Got Daredevil 2, getting that, but that might be getting cut in the January solicitations if this story starts not
Yeah,
really picking up the pace.
same with me.
I got Incredible Hulk 5, Invincible Iron Man 11 has been killing it. And I think I got a variant cover for Sensational She-Hulk 1. I'm not sure about that. So I might be back on board with She-Hulk, even though I thought I was going to be out of that.
Oh, nice. So,
And
so I got. Yep.
DC, well, DC, we got World's Finest 20. I think they're going back to, they're going to an Elseworld there, whatever the Kingdom Come world. So that's always great. I'll be reading the what's that? The White Knight Presents Generation Joker. I'm not sure if I bought Catwoman 58 or not, but I'll probably be reading that. I'm gonna read this Justice League versus Godzilla versus Kong. You know that little blurb they put out or the preview they put out that kind of hooked me in there. Wish they got that out sooner. Nightwing, I think Superman 7 and Wonder Woman 2. Looking forward to that one for sure.
Yeah, I got a bunch that I'm reading online next week. That's that you had mentioned there, Iron Man and She-Hulk and Hulk and there's quite a few that I'm reading online. Maybe that Justice League and Godzilla one. So yeah, there's a few that I'll be reading online in addition to what I'll be picking up. But ones I'm picking up are Batman, Superman, World's Finest, Batman, White Knight, Generation Joker. That's the last issue of that. Harley Quinn, Black, White, and Redder, Nightwing 107, Titans number 4. I didn't see Wonder Woman on my list. Maybe I don't know if I think I've pre-ordered it, unless it got pushed back or it's just not showing on my app here. But yeah, if that comes out, I've got that pre-ordered. Daredevil 2. And that's it. Daredevil 2 is actually the only issue I'm getting from Marvel physically next week, which is weird. Like a lot of the ones that you had mentioned for Marvel, I just read digitally, I feel like. So yeah, I'm not gonna other than that, but that is also on the chopping block for me. So we'll see how that goes. But
Hulk
yeah,
might
I
be
think with the
chopping block with me too.
Hulk, yeah, I wouldn't have. Yeah, I would have already chopped it. Yeah, as good as Nick Klein is, I'm not vibing on the story all so much, right? Yeah. I've just been checking it out because I know you've been reading it, and I can join in and talking about it. But I've been mostly enjoying it for the visuals at this point, right? So, but yeah. All right, well, that's gonna do it for what we're looking forward to reading next week, guys. Chris, your favorite book of the week, man?
I don't know. It's a tough week. Why not? I'm gonna give it to Wolverine, Captain America.
Nice, Wolverine 38, eh? Well, I got to give it to one I actually don't have the physical copy of here in my hands, but it's going to be Wesley Dodds' Sandman for me this week. A combination of a decent story and a really good art. I got to give it to that. Other than that, there wasn't too much in the running. I felt like even the books that I was kind of looking forward to this week, I didn't think rose to the occasion. The closest I would say would either be Capwolf or Wolverine, honestly, close to this. But I think yeah, I got to give it to Wesley Dodds Sandman. I'm a huge fan of Riley Rossmo, the art on that. So that's kind of gave it the little bit of needed more than those other titles. But yeah. Capwolf was a pleasant surprise, and Wolverine was really good or solid too. Like, I don't blame you for picking that. Really good stuff. So, all right, well, that's gonna do it for this week, guys. Tune in next week for episode 99, guys. We have one more episode to go before episode 100. Really good stuff. And make sure to tune in soon. We're going to be talking about our year-end awards for our favorite and least favorite books of the year, which is always a fun time. So look forward to that too. All right, later, guys.
Okay, take it easy.